Yes, thank you. Let me also start with a few words on the debate we had on automatic stabilizers, because I think it's useful to put it in a broader context. As the chairman of the Eurogroup said, the first line of defense for stabilization is national fiscal buffers. And it's important to build up these buffers, maybe strengthen them, as the Commission outlined today in the meeting. We also have a third line of defense. The third line of defense are ESM programs. This is for crisis times. And it's important in this context to think about what is the second line of defense in order to avoid the big crisis. And here the different proposals that we have heard over the last few months come in. Pierre mentioned some of them. The unemployment insurance scheme that was proposed by the German finance minister, the investment protection scheme proposed by the Commission, rainy day funds like Ireland decided to build them up. It can also happen via the revenue, the tax system, or there could be shorter term ESM lending facilities. These all have the same objective: to contribute to macroeconomic stabilization, avoid smaller problems from becoming so big that one has to draw on the third line of defense, an ESM program, which is really something we want to avoid. So first thing is to build up national buffers, first line of defense, and now I think it's the time, and we are doing that and will continue to do that, to think about how to enrich the second line of defense. On the meeting we had in the enlarged Eurogroup, also a few words on the two topics discussed. First, the precautionary instrument. It's good that the technical work is progressing, but maybe it's important to explain why this debate is important. I think it's good to remember that, as is the case with many ESM features, the International Monetary Fund has often provided the template when we think about certain facilities, certain approaches, conditionality. This is also the case with the precautionary credit lines when they were initially designed. The IMF uses its precautionary credit lines for countries that are strong performers, that have a strong policy framework and a good track record in economic performance. Such countries can face a loss of market confidence, and in such cases the precautionary credit line is a tool for crisis prevention or crisis mitigation. In other words, its point is to prevent a small crisis from turning into a big crisis that would make it necessary that the country asks for a full economic adjustment program with a large crisis loan and comprehensive conditionality. The IMF has used its credit line in 3 countries, Colombia, Mexico and Poland. In all 3 countries, the credit lines boosted market confidence during a period of stress in international markets. And interestingly, none of these countries had to draw money from these precautionary credit lines. At the ESM, we have a tool that is comparable. It is called the PCCL, the Precautionary Condition Credit Line that we discussed this afternoon. And it's also designed for countries that perform well. The point of our debate today was to make sure that these credit lines are accessible and predictable for countries that may need them and qualify for them. At the same time, they should not constitute an invitation for the country not to do its homework in order to avoid so-called moral hazard problems. In this context, the eligibility criteria are important. There are 6 of them for the PCCL, and we discussed that and it has been mentioned, so I don't need to go into the details. The last point here is to recall that support is also available for countries that do not fulfill all the criteria for the PCCL, For them, we have another instrument called ECCL, Enhanced Conditions Credit Line, so for countries that do not meet all the criteria for the PCCL. On the second point, in the large Eurogroup this afternoon, deepening EMU and the role of the Commission and the ESM. The cooperation between the Commission and the ESM has been good during the last few years. It has been quite strong in all the 5 countries where the ESM provided loans over the last 7 years. It has become closer because the ESM has grown into new areas. We can build on that. We fully recognize the Commission's prerogatives, which are enshrined in the EU Treaty. And I see the collaboration between the Commission and the ESM as an opportunity for each side to bring its strengths to the table, ensuring that together we are stronger than individually. We already today at the ESM use analytical tools in the context of our early warning system, the program work, and also in our market activities. So that's already the case today. In debt sustainability analysis, our focus is on risks, and it does not provide policy advice, which is the role of the Commission. And therefore, I see no way that in the future we would interfere with the coordination of economic policies, which is the prerogative of the Commission again. So I think the division of labor is possible. It can be productive. We are working on it. As Pierre said, 80% is done. The remaining 20% may not be the easiest parts, but I'm also optimistic that we will solve that over the next few weeks. Thank you.